Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Hidden Agenda. I'm Thanasi.
I am Tony.
And we've got another cracking show for you today. Hang on, have I even got these levels set right? They seem a bit low. There we go, that looks better.
So we're audible now?
We are, well, we were audible before, just not quite as audible as we would have liked.
So you're saying we were audible, now we are super audible.
We're super audible, ultra mega audible.
Wow, that's very audible.
That's a lot of audible.
Yeah.
How are you, Tony?
I'm pretty good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
That's good to hear.
Have we got anything we want to say up front, or should we just jump right into it?
I have, a little observation. It's not really worth the whole agenda item.
All right, go on then.
It's not going to get, I think, but it was pointed out to me that, you know, Jim from Jim's Mowing,
Yeah,
he's basically the Australian Barbie. In that...
What?
He's done it all.
He's done it all. Oh, yeah.
Barbie, she's done it all. And what have we got? We've got Jim.
Jim's mowing. Jim's antennas.
Jim's
IT guys.
I had Jim came through and checked out the place I bought to make sure it wasn't a shithole.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did he reckon?
He said it wasn't a shithole.
You can trust Jim.
Yeah, you can trust
Jim. Yeah. Well, you know, that's a good point. That's a good point. There was a good joke video at one point, which was like, you know, it started off, you know, Jim's mowing, Jim's antennas, and it sort of turned into Jim's circumcisions, and, you know, you kind of Jim's assassinations.
Well, there's probably a bris Barbie out there somewhere.
There, and there's probably a guy called Jim that does brisses.
Yeah.
So I don't know why Jim doesn't buy him out.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, what do you reckon? Shall we get right into it?
Let's crack on with this show. Let's start the items up.
Let's start the items with item number 1.
What is item number 1 on the agenda?
I just realised my phone vibrated on the table. I hope that doesn't come through the mics. Anyway, item number...
Well, if it didn't...
I gave it away.
Yes.
That was the joke, though.
Right.
First item on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to talk about daylight savings.
Yes.
I personally, I don't know what your opinion is on this, actually, because I don't recall if we've ever spoken about it, which would also be against the point. But there's no reason for it to exist. In my humble opinion, there's no reason for it to exist. There's a whole bunch of reasons it shouldn't exist, right? And I can go through those if you'd like, but the short list is basically it causes a bunch more heart attacks, it causes a bunch more strokes. Everybody feels like hell for about 10 days.
Isn't it traffic accidents?
Hospitalizations related to depression, all of that.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but people like to run around and say things like, oh, it helps the farmers. Unequivocally false, right? It's actually considerably worse for them. Because extending the daylight into the later hours is kind of meaningless when it's got a lot more to do with the weather.
Right.
But it also just generally just means that in the early morning, when they would need to go out and start harvesting, it's too dark to do so. Right? Another one, and actually the reason that a lot of these laws were passed to begin with, particularly in the United States, was they thought that it would reduce electricity consumption somehow. I don't get the logic either. I've tried.
You're turning your lights on
later because you're sleeping more during the dark bit, right?
I can understand, yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
So far, the best result collected for how much the electricity usage has gone down is 0.03% on average.
Well, that's a good percentage.
It's a good percentage.
How much have heart attacks gone up?
14%.
Wow!
Yeah.
That's not great.
It's a good saving.
Yeah.
And actually, some accounts actually have the electricity usages having gone down, or rather up,
right,
by up to 4%.
Okay.
So really, the whole thing is useless across the board. Now, the problem is that for some reason, people seem to love daylight saving.
No, who does?
No. So let me clarify that slightly. There's people that love it and people that just don't care.
Right. No.
How many people have you honestly met that hate it? I hate it. So other than me, right?
Nearly every software developer hates it.
That's for a different reason, though.
Yeah.
We hate it because dealing with time zones is a pain to begin with, and then dealing with shifting time zones is 10 times worse.
Yes.
It's almost as bad as internationalization.
Yeah.
Which is a word you can only pronounce flawlessly once you've been a software developer for 5 years.
Yeah.
Software developers hate it for that reason.
All right?
But like, how many people have you met that go, like, nah, it's great, the days are longer, I can go out and do more stuff and all this kind of thing?
Honestly, not a lot.
Really?
No.
Because I get a lot of that.
Really?
I get a lot of like, yeah, it's great, I can go home and mow the lawn and it's still daytime. I I know, no hint of a lie. Someone said that was one of the reasons they loved it.
I've had a lot of people who are just resistant to change. Like, they don't love it, but they go,
Sure.
why bother changing it? If
Because
it's not-
less people will die.
Well, yes.
You know?
I'm not defending it.
Yeah.
I believe we should all just be on UTC time and go to bed at 2 a.m. What does it matter what number why is 6 o'clock when the sun goes down? It doesn't have to be.
Look, there's like business and economics reasons for that, right?
No,
Because
it's 6 is an arbitrary number.
No, but if it's 2 a.m. in the United States and you think, cool, I'm just going to ring Australia, where it's also 2 a.m. Sorry, it would have to be the other way around. Let's say it was 6 p.m. in the United States, right? And you wanted to call someone in Australia where it's also 6 p.m. But in actual fact, it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
No,
right?
it's
so you would
it's
still
UTC.
But that's what time zones are. UTC plus or minus something.
If I'm going to call America right now, I got to look up what time is it in America. Am I going to be waking people up?
But the point is, you'd still have to do that if you remove time zones.
But that's so take away anyway. Instead of saying what time is it, say what time do they go to sleep in America?
True, I guess it's
still
just
the same lookup.
You're right. It's an alternate way of thinking about it.
What are the business hours in America? Okay, I'm outside those business hours.
But this is the reason that was it Samoa and Kiribati shifted themselves to the other side of the international date line so that they could do trade with us, right?
They're the country that has that
The international date line goes out 400 Ks or something, somewhere in the middle of the Pacific.
Yes.
Because the thing is, they're also now the earliest time zone on Earth.
Right.
Kiribati is UTC plus 14.
Right.
So it's actually possible on Earth now for there to be 2 separate days at the exact same time, right? Because if you're in minus 12 on this side and plus 14 on that side, you're 26 hours apart.
Right.
50 hours apart. I can do maths, right? No, 26. Yeah, anyway. Whatever, right? The point is it's possible to roll over to a third day by 2 hours, kind of thing. Anyway, screw all that. I almost said something a lot worse there.
I already did earlier.
I know, twice, and I tried very hard not to do it myself just before when I said not a hint of lie.
Yeah, I forgot about
because I wanted to say no S.
Right.
Anyway, that's all right. It's the third show back for the year. You get away with it to begin with. I have come up with 2 ingenious solutions to this problem.
Right. I have one I'm going to throw on the end as well.
Okay, but let's see if it aligns with one of mine, right? So, now, the thing is, of course, as with all of my solutions to all problems, they're not actually solutions. They're just things that do the thing that suits me. But here we go. Right. Now, in a perfect situation, I think we'd do something interesting like do your daylight savings for all the people that want to do it, but don't bother in places where it's really going to be a problem. So, for example, the Melbourne metropolitan area. If you change the time, you're going to have a lot more car accidents in Melbourne than you are out in, wherever else. Yarrawonga, for example. There's 5 people on the roads. If one more of them has a crash, that's 20% higher, but it's unlikely to happen. Whereas here, you're going to cause a lot of people a lot of grief. Right? So that's solution number 1.
Right.
Daylight savings abolished in metropolitan areas. Right? Complicated, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. That kind of creates a new time zone.
It creates a new problem.
Yeah.
I agree. But it suits me just fine because I live in the Melbourne metropolitan area.
Right.
The other solution, it's far more radical solution, right, is come up with nighttime saving time and just apply it at the exact same time as daylight saving. So you have a net zero. So daylight saving pushes you an hour and ahead. Nighttime saving brings you an hour, backwards. So the net result is no change in the time.
So basically just do nothing.
Yes, except you can still appease the people that want to keep it around for some reason.
By saying we're just applying at
Another
the exact
modifier.
same time.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got a new
We're not
modifier.
taking daylight savings away.
No.
But we are just
nullifying
instantly shifting it back.
That's right.
Yeah, see, I don't know if that's going to fly very well. I tell you...
But it might even give them something new and useless to love.
What, the day of the year where the clock goes and just sort of the hour hand just jiggles a bit and then goes on its way.
Yeah, the day of the year where we apply 2 different and completely opposite laws for no reason whatsoever. That's fun.
I think the solution is, because you're saying people love daylight savings.
The people that like it unreasonably.
No.
Everybody else just seems to not care.
It's also not entirely true. people love the one where they get an extra hour of sleep.
Yeah, the other end, where it goes back, yeah.
But they hate the one where they lose an extra hour of sleep.
Yeah.
So my goal, what I propose we do is just constantly go backwards. Just every year, just backwards.
Just back an hour.
You get an extra hour, and then every 24 years we'll roll over, and that's where, we're back at where we were.
Every 24 years we just skip a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
that's even more radical than my solution.
So every year there's one day where you get an extra hour of sleep, because I think that day car crashes and heart attacks go down.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I read some research earlier in preparation for this topic that said that while there's a significant difference in the amount of sleep people get on the day where the time shifts forward and you lose an hour, it turns out that on average, because people know they've got an extra hour at the end, they don't get an extra hour's sleep.
Right. But they still love that day.
For some reason.
And if we could just take away the day that they hate, then you're only left with that good day.
Yes.
And you just do that once a year, every year.
The problem with that, though, is that by about, 17 years, you're going to work at, 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
Well, then you change the business hours.
Just every year the business hours shift by an hour as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Done.
I'm in.
All right. So
I like it.
You get an hour of sleep extra every year?
Every year. One day on every year we get an extra hour of sleep.
And 2 a.m. time for work, because
the entire world shifts everything by an hour once a year.
Yeah, so I
that
guess
doesn't sound like it'll cause a problem at all.
If you went to work, so if 9 a.m. was standard work start, then after 7 years you'd be going at 2 a.m.
Wouldn't it go the other way?
Oh, don't ask that question.
Wouldn't it go the other way if you were sleeping an extra hour? You'd have to go to work an hour later. So if you normally started at 9, you'd be starting at 4 p.m. after 7 years.
Look,
you might be right about that. Let's not think about this too hard, because we're not particularly good at thinking on the spot.
No, we're not, because then it leaves a lot of unsightly dead air.
Yeah, unsightly. Well, I don't know if it's unsightly. If you're actually watching the stream, you could probably see the gears turning in our heads, which is at least slightly entertaining.
But as I've always said, I resent the stream watchers. Listen to the audio version.
Yeah, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Well, this is the only show where we actively discourage our guests from watching us.
Yeah, I shouldn't do that.
No, you shouldn't.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, very much so.
I just, I have to put pants on.
But, what do we... Well, this is the good thing, is we can only see you from the waist down. They don't know if you've got pants on. Remember that show we did last year with no pants on?
Yeah, that's true. I did, yeah.
But this is the thing. All right, so we've got solutions. We have 3 solutions, so we can workshop these, do up business cases, take them to whoever's in charge of this crap. Government, probably. How do we get wow, I can't even words today. How do we get the daylight savings people on board?
I think you go over their heads.
You just go completely over their heads?
Yes, you go to the people.
You come up to them after you've done it, look, we made a decision for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you sort of, if you get the people involved, then they'll follow what the people are doing.
Yeah, true.
I mean, 6 p.m. is not inherent in any natural... No. They didn't uncover, scientists didn't dust off a rock and go, now it's 6 p.m.
No.
Look at this sundial put here by nature.
Some stuff up.
Yeah, we just said, 6, why not?
Sounds good.
6 is a good number for the time of day it is.
We should combine the daylight saving change with your change to make 12 0 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about that the other day. It's ridiculous that 12:17 p.m. is earlier than 11:17 p.m.
That's right. That's insane.
That's silly.
Yeah.
Make it 0.
Because then once it rolls over to 1:17, that's obviously earlier than 11:17.
Yeah, 1:17 is definitely earlier than 11:17.
Yeah.
But 12, no.
But see, with that one, you got to take the AM and PM. But just at a glance, it's wrong.
It is wrong.
It is wrong. Look, I don't know if I've got a whole lot else to say on that. That was just an interesting thought that I had. I really, mostly because I just hate it. When I first moved to Melbourne, I was living about an hour and a half from the city in commuting time, right? Not obviously straight time. But then... the problem with that is that during the peak of summer, it was still daylight at 9:30, 9:45, and I needed to be in bed because I had to get up at 6:30 to start getting ready for work. I think that sucked. I couldn't sleep. You'd be getting to sleep at 11:30, 12 o'clock. Everybody in their nice nearby to work homes that could afford were fine, but then for me it's just I can't sleep. I got to sleep an hour or two later because of this, and I'm getting less sleep. I'm getting even less sleep than I would have already got. Kind of thing. I hate it. Abolish it. And particularly coming from Queensland.
Well...
Where it doesn't... Where we tried it once and went, yeah, nah. Right?
I think, it just requires... We need the people. We need to do... Remember what that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer's like, nah, I'm setting my watch now. I'm not waiting for daylight savings.
Yeah, I'm just
we all
moving it
need to
ahead.
be doing that.
We do need to all be together, because as we saw in that episode, he just caused chaos for himself.
Yes. But if we created enough of a movement...
Yeah.
Then we could get everyone together. Yeah, I got a lot of ideas for just stupid movements.
And this is the thing. It's no more or less insane than plenty of movements out there, some of which are legitimately dangerous. This is just a fun one, right?
Well...
This is a fun movement. We can get people behind this.
It's fun, but it's got a serious... I don't... Like, when you say it's sort of fun... You're trivialising it. This is serious.
Yeah, you're right. This is serious.
I mean, it's not as serious as saying don't vaccinate your children.
That's a bad one.
That's a bad one.
That's a bad one.
But, I mean, look, if I put my heart and soul into getting daylight savings abolished and I failed...
You'll be disappointed.
I'd still die, like, relatively happy.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried, yeah.
Look, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think society's going to collapse.
I got behind a cause. I gave it a red-hot go. It might have even dedicated my life to it, but it didn't work out.
It didn't take...
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's not the end of the world.
I'm going to die now. Society will go on just having one crappy day every year.
Yes. Well, I really think we should investigate that. Put your clock back. Only backwards.
Yeah, I think if we do take that, combine it with your idea to move 12 a.m. to just 0 a.m., I think we can lead a time revolution.
Yes.
We can be Time Lords, Tony.
We need a TARDIS.
We do, but we'll sort that bit out. Let's start with time law first.
All right.
Anyway, that's it. That's really it. It was probably it about 3 minutes ago. Here. What do you got?
Item number 2.
Item number 2.
I've been very interested lately in people's breaking points.
Yes.
The point where they go, okay, that's enough.
I've had enough.
Okay,
yep.
And over the course of my life, I've just come up with different ways of sort of figuring out what someone's breaking point might be.
Yes.
And, I've always wanted to put them to the test, but...
This could get interesting.
So the first one was when I was in high school... a friend of mine and I put on a sketch comedy show. We got all these other students, and it was a sketch comedy show, and it was mostly in the audience was parents and family members supporting all the people in the show. And what I wanted to do,
this is going to be awful, isn't it?
No, not really.
Okay.
What I wanted to do, and I was overruled, was I wanted the final sketch to be, all the people come out.
Yeah.
And they start playing Monopoly, right? And then, there's a few jokes, like a page of jokes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just keep playing Monopoly.
They just sit on stage.
They just sit on stage playing Monopoly, moving things around, basically undoing any goodwill we would have earned from the show.
To see how long before people start leaving.
Just before, because these parents there have to take their children home at some point. So
they have to stay.
Well, at what point do they stand up and go, all right, Susie, this sketch is going nowhere.
We got to get out of here.
It's been 3 hours. Get off the damn stage and let's go home. And I was told, no, we're not doing that. And I was like, oh, come on, that'd be so funny.
That's funny.
I thought so.
That's real funny.
Because how long would a parent sit through? That's scientific data that we don't have anymore.
Useful stuff. B, hysterical.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you were in that audience, let's say this. If I was in that audience, I think I'd be pissed off for the first 15 minutes and then I'd find it funny. Or at that point, it would just become this is incredible. How long are they going to keep this up? And by 3 or 4 hours, I'd just be egging them on. Keep them here all night.
But you have
great idea.
You have to get home at some point.
I don't care. I'll walk.
Yeah. See, I don't know if everyone would have that.
Yeah.
The fact that their child's more or less held hostage within the sketch, within the show itself.
Your evil sketch.
Yeah.
The show itself is holding them hostage.
If it's just someone who's come in to visit and they got no, then you just say, "Oh, this is getting boring. I'm sneaking out."
Yeah, exactly. If it's just a friend or something.
It's like, oh, Billy. He's still playing.
Can you imagine, though, like, if you were some proud parent and you'd brought, like, a good friend of yours or something to this thing, you know, someone that, like, the child knows well as well, and then they're just like, look, I've got to split, man, I can't do this. Kind of thing. And little Timmy's just like, you know, one of their friends, you know, their parents' friends that he really likes is kind of like just slowly walking away, and the parents just sitting there cursing them for leaving, for just throwing them out in the lurch, for just leaving them out in the cold.
It's like, Billy, don't buy Rundle Mall. No, you bought Rundle Mall.
Yeah.
You're going to be here for hours.
We're going to be here all night.
So that's
a good stitch up, though.
I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that on closing night. The Monopoly sketch.
How old were you when you came up with this?
I would have. Well, this was year 12, so I guess 17.
17. So you've been a genius for a while.
I don't know if is that a genius?
It's genius.
Okay,
that's Megamind, man. That's funny.
Again, though, it's only funny.
It's our weirdo brand of funny, but it's funny.
It's not funny. Yeah, it's not. It's not funny for the audience. It's funny.
Well, it's like Nathan For You funny. In a sense.
I suppose, yeah.
And I happen to know you quite like that show.
I think that is one of my all-time favourite shows.
Exactly,
Probably popping into the top 5 even.
Oh, man, that's great. Have you come up with anything else like that? This limits testing? Because this isn't one that has really been a theme for me. I don't know if I can contribute a whole lot here.
I have come up with another.
Please do.
One thing I wanted to do was, and again, I never did this, but I wanted to go to a food restaurant.
As opposed to a non-food restaurant?
But like a restaurant that does takeaway.
Oh, right.
And is owned by someone who loves their craft.
Okay.
So not a, fast food
not like
chain.
A fast food place or whatever.
Yeah, someone, they've put their heart and soul into this business. And, just every Friday or so, walk up there, order some food, and as you're walking out the door, just throw it in the bin.
Without eating any of it?
Without eating any of it.
Okay.
So thank you very much for my meal in the container.
You're perfectly polite, you order, you pay for everything, you never complain, but you just walk out the door, chuck it in the bin.
Chuck it in the bin. Because I wanted to see if it'd get to a point where I go, hey, can I have the Kung Pao chicken?
Just say no.
Okay, we're not going to serve you anymore, you're just going to throw that in the bin. And you go, what do you care what I do with this?
You're making the money anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, is there a breaking point where they'd go, I don't want to cook you that food. That is so wasteful. That is so...
Yeah. Well, the distinction of someone that loves their craft and does it for the passion of it versus someone who's just making a buck is an important one there, right? Because if you did that at a Macca's, no one would ever care.
No.
Yeah, but if you went to like a restaurant where somebody put time and passion and love into this food and you did that, you probably wouldn't get away with it many times at all, to be
You reckon that the breaking point would be that quick?
It'd be pretty quick. I don't think you could do that more than like 3 or 4 times after they noticed it.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't think they would just sort of go, just don't even cook the pasta. Just
give you the ingredients.
Just pop it in the container.
Yeah,
There's no point. Get some pebbles from the garden.
They give you the uncooked stuff. She's like, well, if you're not going to eat it, she's like, no, I'd like you to cook this, please. And then you just throw it out. No, I swear I'll eat it this time.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and then, I don't know, write a review. They just put pebbles in my damn food.
That'd be...
Imagine that, writing that review, and then the restaurant going, you threw out the last 15 meals. Of course we put pebbles in your food.
No one would ever believe that. Would you believe that if you saw like the response from the restaurant or a Google review? Like, you've literally never eaten our food. You've been coming here for a year, and you've never eaten once.
What kind of disturbed madman are you? But no, you're not. Yeah, because I never know when I see one of those Google reviews who to believe.
I love writing scathing Google reviews.
You write them?
I write them, but only if I've really, really been screwed over.
Right.
Like, for me, like, I have an extremely high threshold. I'm not the kind of person that's going to be like, the food was a bit crap tonight. 3 stars or whatever. No. Chances are, though, that if I've been given a real bad runaround, this happens a lot like when you're waiting for services, waiting for a doctor, waiting for whatever, right? Where you just get the runaround, where you get the whole... Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's just like you come in and they just don't have your appointment. And you go, well, as a receptionist, you don't have many jobs. One of them is to make sure that you write down the appointments. I would say almost the most critical one. Yes. Is that you write down the appointment. So when I show up for a doctor's appointment and the lady goes, your appointment isn't here, and I say, well, that isn't my problem, right? The response I should get is like, we're terribly sorry, we'll see what we can do, not, well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it, right? It's like, no, there is. You can give me my appointment that I rang up and asked for, right? And so
squeeze me in or something.
Exactly. And I don't even need the guy for long, right? I'm here for a follow-up and a prescription. I'll be in there for 5 minutes. Nah, right? They got a 1-star review. A couple of other times where things like that have happened, sure. But in general, no.
Right.
But I do love reading terrible Google reviews. And it was a bit that I wanted to do here, but one of my favorite YouTube comedians has done it, and he's done it better than I think we ever could.
Right.
So I decided not to bring it over. Or if I do ever do it, it'll be like an homage thing, like an extra business thing, like a little bit. But no. But yeah, no. I would be confused if I saw that review.
Well, so another idea I had for breaking points, I can't remember if I've told you this one before.
Probably not.
Go into a florist.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, go on.
You go into a florist and you say, you got any notepads? And they'll go, no, this is a florist. And you go, oh, okay. And then just hire a slew of people.
Oh, so you don't go back?
No.
Right.
Other people go.
Other people, okay.
Have you got any pens?
Yeah, I'll just ask them for anything that isn't flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, specifically
cards and
stationery.
Oh, okay. Specifically stationery.
Specifically stationery.
All right, what's the logic there?
I want to see if you can convert a florist into
a stationer's
into a stationery shop. Or a news agents or something.
As in, so that they'll have so many customers coming in asking for stationery that they'll at least start selling stationery as well as flowers.
Yeah, maybe we should get some pens. We seem to have a lot of demand for pens.
And then they just stop happening.
Yeah.
As soon as they start selling pens, you just stop sending the people asking for pens.
Exactly. But
what reaction are you hoping for?
I guess this...
I mean, that's funny.
Well, again, it's the point, I guess the breaking point at which they go, look...
So you just want to see how long until they start selling pens?
Yeah, I mean... No, I'm not going to buy pens. This is a florist. Yeah. But at what point do they break and go, oh, look, let's branch out.
Let's sell some pens. We've got to diversify our business interests here.
Exactly. And I think this is important research because I think the breaking point is very important for things like ID verification. I think when a bouncer or someone looks at ID, they have a certain breaking point where they go, "You're too far away from what I'm looking at here."
I have an interesting one on that. Go on.
And I'm not going to, or your signature is too far away from what
at a bank, for example.
Yeah. So I'm not going to, because I think it's a very tough thing. If there's sort of any resemblance, most people will accept it and just move on.
As long as it's close enough.
Yeah.
I have an interesting one about that, actually. As you know, sort of 5 or 6 years ago, I was a fair bit larger than I am now. Something like 60-odd kilos larger. And at one point, I had my wallet stolen and I didn't have a license. And that weekend, I was going out. Now, I obviously have a passport, right? But on my passport, I'm 152 kilos, right? So this face looks vaguely like my face, right? On that passport kind of thing. So, I go up to this nightclub, I'm like, and before I even handed the guy the passport, I'm like, look, I'm about to give you a passport for ID, but this photo was taken 60-odd kilos ago. I really want you to take that into account when you're looking at this photo. And he picks it up, and he looks at the photo, and he looks at me, and he looks back at the photo, and he looks at me again. He goes, I'm not sure, dude. I'm like, hang on. I pull out my phone, and I go back to a picture of myself at like a birthday party 5 or 6 years ago where I was about the same size. I'm like, there you go. And he looks at the phone, he looks at the passport, he looks back at me, he goes, yeah, all right. Gives me back the passport.
So he managed to triangulate your identity from those 3 data points.
But it looked like it gave him a lot of grief for like 30 seconds. I was standing there for a whole minute, I would say.
Right.
While he was just kind of staring back and forth and being like, geez, you really have lost a lot of weight. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Kind of thing.
One of my favourite stories about ID was there was a guy who had money. He moved country once, so he was 18 and then he left. And his wife was going back over there. And he said, well, you might as well take all the money out of that account. I'm not going to live in that country anymore.
Sure.
Wrote a letter authorising, this thing. She goes and presents it to the bank. And they go, I'm sorry, the signature doesn't match the signature for the account we have on record.
Right, yeah.
And he goes, I don't know, it was 30 years ago I opened that account. I don't remember what my signature looked like 30 years ago. So what he did was he just wrote his signature out on a piece of paper over and over in lots of different ways. And then she handed that to the bank teller.
And they went, yeah, that one matches.
They said, oh, this one's pretty close. Here's the money.
So first of all, I don't even want to talk about how unsafe, how preposterous a concept signatures are.
Yeah.
Right? But that's ridiculous.
But that is
it's good to know I can trust my bank.
It's a low breaking point, though, to get into that money.
The teller doesn't care.
Well, I suppose the teller needs to just, I guess, be able to point to something and say, yeah,
I did my job.
I did my job.
Yeah. So what you're saying is I could go into a bank with 100 random signatures on a piece of paper and go, do any of these match any of the accounts you've got on file, and can I have all the money out of that account?
You could give it a shot.
Well, it's only slightly worse than what this man was able to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of similar. I got a notice on my car.
Yeah.
Because, I've moved into a new building. It says, your car's parked in our car spot. Move it or it's getting towed.
It's like, no, this is my spot.
Like, I'm looking at the contract of sale. I'm like, I own this car spot.
Yeah.
This will be an interesting phone call I'm going to have.
Yeah. Did you have that phone call?
Not with the person I needed to. It's hopefully going to get sorted though, but okay. I don't know. There could be a dispute over who owns this car spot.
It's your car spot.
I think it's my car spot.
I reckon it's your car spot.
But we'll see.
Anyway, we got to go to our station IDs.
Oh, really?
Yes. Looks like we've only got 2 today. I think one of them might be a spot for another show on the station.
Oh, that's different.
That is a little bit different.
That's basically an ad.
That's basically an ad. It's an internal ad, but we did it. I'm calling it.
We got an ad.
Yeah.
AdWatch.
AdWatch
is
first ad.
First ad.
It's internal, but it's an ad.
It's an ad. God damn it. We made it.
We made it.
So, how much money are we getting for this ad? Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely squat.
But
we got an ad.
It's a vote of confidence.
They didn't send us an email that says, I like your style, boys, though.
Well, that was if we were sourcing the ads. There are other avenues to get ads on the show. You can go over our heads.
You can, in fact, go over our heads.
If you want.
Please don't.
Oh, I don't mind.
Actually, before we go to our break, let's remind everyone of our socials. You can email us at thehiddenagendapodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/hiddenagendapodcast. Listen to all of our past episodes, which is now finally up to date, thanks to Tony, because I couldn't be bothered doing it. On your favourite podcast app, iTunes, Spotify, all the rest of them probably.
Google
Podcasts, various others. Or on our website, which I still haven't purchased the domain for. It's on your screen if you're watching the video. Otherwise, it's thehiddenagenda.libsyn.com. I'm not going to spell it for you this time. Figure it out. We'll be back shortly.
Fresh Radio. Η καλύτερη ραδιοφωνική συντροφιά στο σπίτι, στη δουλειά και φυσικά στο αυτοκίνητο. Fresh Radio. Γιατί απλά δεν μπορείς να αντισταθείς. Η ραδιοφωνική καρδιά της πόλης χτυπά μόνο εδώ. Σαν Fresh.
I've got some disappointing news.
There was no ad for another show.
Ad. There was a sting about the station, so it was more than just Fresh Radio. It was like, for the best radio companionship, listen to Fresh, which is kind of an ad for the station, but no.
Well,
I'm going to say we failed.
All right, so AdWatch is still ongoing.
Is still on.
All right, and what were the other watch? Haircut Watch?
I've forgotten. Bluetooth Watch, Haircut Watch, AdWatch. Who else? I've forgotten. If you remember what watches we had, please send us a message.
Yeah, I have to actually go back and
we'll have to listen to that and actually see what watches we had going on.
I've been thinking, as far as an agenda running goes, this is a bit of a shambles.
Yeah, we're not very good at it.
Yeah, we don't follow things up properly. We don't.
Well, I do have a follow-up for later today.
Oh, okay.
I do have a follow-up from a long time ago, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting, okay. So, we do have a follow-up.
We do have a follow-up.
But we don't even say, meeting adjourned.
No.
There's no action items.
That would be very lame, though.
Should it?
Here's bad enough.
Oh, we haven't been saying... Have we been saying that?
We missed the last one. We said the first one.
Oh, okay.
Shall we?
Here.
On topic item number 2.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yes.
Let's
crack on with the agenda.
Let's crack on. I have... Oh, why did that close itself? I have the following. There's a coffee machine at my work. Now, we used to work together, and the coffee machine at your work is nice and automatic.
Yes. You literally push a button.
The worst you might have to do is put a bottle of milk in if the bottle of milk is empty.
Yes.
or possibly wait for the cleaning cycle. But that's it. The rest of it is a single button press.
Boom.
Now, where I work now has a full professional barista thing. Espresso machine.
Right.
Right? With, the steam nozzle, the full-on
I hate
thing,
that steam nozzle.
the grinder, everything, right? So you pull out the little, I don't even know what the technical terms, you pull out the little cup on a handle, you stick it in the grinder. Yeah, right? You grind it, you got to pack it yourself, and if you pack it wrong, your coffee's all wrong. Comes out sour or bitter or whatever, right? Or it just doesn't come out at all, I found out the other day. Right? Well, actually, quite some days ago. And then you pull your shot, then you got to froth your milk if you're having a milky coffee, right? That's hard, as it turns out, right? It takes a long time to learn that. And so what I don't appreciate about that is the fact that I spent the first 3-4 months of my employment terrified. Every time I went down to make a coffee, terrified of the fact that I'd embarrass myself in front of my more tenured colleagues who have had more time to perfect using this coffee machine.
Right, yes.
All right? I don't appreciate that stress. I really don't. Right?
Yeah. No one appreciates stress.
However, having now learned how to make a coffee correctly on that machine and being able to consistently pull a good shot of espresso and consistently froth a good thing of milk, right? Now I revel in going downstairs and watching newer employees struggle to get their coffee right.
Right.
So what I'm saying really is that they've created an almost a strange, ineffective and not actually harmful, but sort of somewhat toxic coffee culture all within the company.
Toxic coffee culture.
That's right. You've got the people that can't make the coffee yet who are sort of vaguely terrified of going and proving to everyone that they can't make the coffee. Then you've got the other people who'll just let you struggle for a second or two before they offer help.
Right.
We always offer help after a few seconds. Once it's obvious that they're struggling, you offer help. But just for like 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 seconds, if you're feeling particularly daring, you just watch them struggle because they never ask for help.
No, well, you can't. That's a sign of weakness.
That's right.
But there would also be a third category of people who have gone, I'm not even going to try this, I'm just going to go down the street and buy a coffee.
Yeah, well, we actually have a cafe directly beneath us.
Right.
Do you know what the problem with that cafe is?
It's not very good coffee?
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks, and it's expensive.
Well,
so it's like you're caught in this weird limbo. There's a nice cafe that's not too expensive, 500 metres up the road, right?
That's a bit of a walk.
That's a bit of a walk, right? That's going to take you 10 minutes to go there and back.
Right.
So, yeah, there are people that have told me, literally, that they don't make coffees at work for this exact reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, because I guess everyone feels like, I don't know, by the time you're 20 or something, you should know how to make a coffee with that.
Well, this is the same thing with wines, isn't it? By the time you're in your late 20s, you should know more than 2 things about wine.
Right, I still don't.
You know what the weird thing is I'm starting to learn.
Really?
I'm actually even starting to enjoy wine.
But I guess it's not as intimidating. I mean, you tip the bottle and the wine comes out. That's anyone can do that.
Well,
you don't even have to appreciate wine.
You don't, because no one's worried about pouring wine because you spill a bit once before you realise you just got to twist it 45 degrees before you pick it up. That's it. That happens one time, right? It's more about being able to talk to wine people about wine in a way that isn't just like, I like red wine, right?
What is there to talk about with the wine, though?
I heard a guy in a restaurant just last week say, ask the restaurateur to show him a couple of bottles of wine, and then he picks one up and goes, ooh, this variety of grape, I've never had that one before, I'll have this, thanks. Right? They know exactly what varieties of grapes they've ever drank in their life, right? That's a wine guy.
That's interesting. Because I can understand, like, if you're an avid book reader.
Yeah, sure.
And you talk to other book readers about the books you're reading.
Yeah.
But, like, how many times do you have a Shiraz? And how different are the Shirazes?
It turns out, more often than you'd think, at least it has been happening to me recently, and they can be quite different.
But again, like, it's not like...
Okay, let me just say this before you continue. In the last 4 days, I've actually had 3 different Shirazes, right? It just so happened that I've had 3 different Shirazes. One was clearly better than the other 2. They all cost about the same, but I enjoyed one orders of magnitude more than the other 2. I didn't believe it either, because 2 years ago, they would have all just tasted like vaguely sweet vinegar to me.
Right.
Something's happening, and I'm not sure if I like it.
But is it a case where, I mean, like with a book club or, book people,
yeah,
they can say, oh, my favourite book was a book I read 10 years ago about this.
But they won't, yeah.
Do wine people ever talk about anything other than the wine they are drinking at that moment?
Oh, they'll tell you their favourite vintage and location. They'll tell you the part of the earth that they think their favourite wine comes from, or the best wines come from.
And they'll say, like, this wine is good, but it's not as good as the wine I had 7 years ago.
I mean, I've heard it on shows and stuff like that. I haven't heard it too much in real life, but you will get like things like this particular wine, the 99 was far better than the 2002. You'll hear things like that, right? And they must have like, what other things are they not keeping in their brain for them to be able to keep a detailed library of every tasting note of every wine they've ever had? Are these the kind of people that forget their kids' birthdays? Like, they'd have to be.
Well, winos would probably forget their kids' birthdays.
Yes, but just baffles me.
Yeah.
And yet it's a thing that's happening to me.
Well, yeah. So we veered off the original topic.
We have.
Item, I suppose. But, yeah, I don't know. To me, like, you're drinking wine. I don't know anyone who starts a wine conversation without wine around.
That's true.
Whereas...
That's true.
Books, movies, you could discuss these things without these things being in the vicinity.
But what about a coffee conversation?
What about a coffee conversation?
It does occasionally come up when there isn't coffee around, but more often than not, there has to be coffee around.
Well, the conversation usually is, where is coffee? I need coffee. Get me some good coffee.
True. That's true.
I'll tell you where there's some good coffee. Oh, good. I'm going to go and get that coffee.
Yeah.
And that's
the end of the conversation until they come back with the coffee.
And they go, this coffee's pretty good. And it's staved off the cravings for a little while longer.
And the anger and the general discomfort. Yeah, true.
But I guess, I suppose no one's asking for help because I guess people feel like they should know at that point.
But honestly, this is the thing, because I was the person that didn't ask for help to begin with, and then at some point I went, but hang on. There's actually no expectation of me to ever have been able to make a coffee this way.
Yeah.
Right? So asking someone for help is merely like, hey, I haven't done this before. I haven't been expected to do this before. You ought to help me.
Yes.
Right? But it took me sort of several days to get to the point where I went, hey, actually, nobody expects me to know what I'm doing here. Right? The wine one's a bit different. I think you do get to a point in your life where people expect a little bit more wine knowledge out of you, right?
That's only if you subscribe, if you sign yourself up for being a wine person.
Yes, but no matter what, you're going to run into the kind of people that do think you ought to have wine knowledge. You can't avoid those people.
Well, but I mean, like, what if you have whiskey knowledge and not wine knowledge?
That's fine.
That's fine.
I think you can probably substitute that by saying you have knowledge in some kind of grown-up thing, generally alcohol.
Right.
I don't know why these people, just like, who drinks so much, first of all? But anyway.
But saying, look, I don't know anything about wine, but boy, am I down with Pokemon.
That's right.
He's not going to cut it.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's not grown up enough.
Fair enough. But imagine seeing, like...
Maybe when we're in our 60s.
A 45-year-old man struggling to catch a Pokemon, and just all these, like, 20-somethings like, oh, no, let's see if he asks for help.
Give him a second. He'll figure out he needs to use a Master Ball.
And he'll turn around and go, look, I don't know why I should be expected to know how
I've been here for 20 minutes. I still can't catch this Squirtle. Can somebody give me a hand? Some teeny bopper just goes up and goes, shoo.
No one's ever taught me this. I don't know anything about Pokemon.
Yeah.
My favourite Pokemon was a 92 Squirtle.
It was the Pikachu as imagined in Pokemon Yellow in 1995.
Yes, a good year for Pokemon.
It's a good year for Pikachus. Anyway, I think that's probably all I've got there.
That's probably all I've got to add.
Here.
Here.
What do you got?
Item number 4.
Item number 4 on the hidden agenda.
I guess this sort of links in with things you should know as an adult but don't.
Which was, if I remember correctly, the broadly opening topic when we first started.
Yes.
On the radio, yeah.
But
we took that at a very high level.
Yeah, so when a business goes out of business.
Ooh.
Administrators come in.
Oh, yes.
And they administrate.
Everybody loves administrators.
That business.
Yes.
I was wondering, can an administrator go out of business?
No.
Why can't they go out of business?
Because there's more businesses failing than there are administrators.
But what if the administrator says, boy, there's a lot of businesses failing, let's expand our operation.
And then their expansion ends up taking them down.
Yes, they accumulate too much debt.
Well, I guess...
And they go, we're going to have to fire all of our administrators.
What if they put themselves into administration?
Well, you can't self-administrate, surely.
No, hang on. If you're an administrator...
Yeah.
And I hate that word, too, in that sense. If you're an administrator and you decide to get into the pizza business, right? And for some reason... It's not meant to make sense, but let's just say, right? And for some reason, you manage this so poorly, it goes under and it drags the administration side of your business down.
So the pizza is a side hustle.
The pizza's the side of hustle.
Right.
Their diversification, right? They've decided that there's too many... There's businesses are more successful than ever. Administration's not going to make us money.
Yeah.
Right, for example. And they get into pizza. Yeah. Do they self-administrate their pizza arm? Or do they fold their administration arm and get other administrators in to administrate the whole lot?
Well, see, I don't know what...
I'm starting to forget what the word administration means.
I don't know what the rules are on administration. How do they decide? Do they all bid on who wants to handle that?
What do they actually do? It's okay. Don't just say administration.
I guess they come in and sell other people's things.
They seem to just come in, take a lot of money, then sell the business to literally the first bidder that comes in.
I think that's possibly correct.
If a company goes down, they'll come in, they'll take their first paycheck of several $100 million, and you go and say, I'll give you $5 for it. Yep, we're out.
Cool.
Right?
Administered.
Administrated.
Yeah.
Administered. Done. We're out.
We're out of here.
See you later, losers. We made our $300 million.
But who picks an administrator?
I don't know. This is the thing. Administrators just seem to come out of nowhere. You see a news article, so-and-so company's gone into administration. Did they just go up to the company and say, like, please administrate us? It's not rehab, it's death.
Do they do like the CEO of like companies that are going down just sort of look out of their window and just see like administrators lining up on the side of the street and it's not looking good? The administrators,
they're out for blood.
They're circling.
Yeah. They're like sharks.
And he's shooting shotguns. Stay away, administrators!
Instead of like bleeding blood, they're bleeding money.
Yeah.
Administrators just smell money on the air.
Yeah, I don't know how this whole world works. I don't know how you become... Like, surely an administrator has to be able to go into administration.
Yeah, I mean, my dad used to work for a company that went into administration.
Right.
And it just kind of happened. Like, they all just showed up one day, and the bosses kind of went, we're in administration now. And they all went like, that sucks. And they went like, yeah, sorry. Right? Of course, our CEO and all these people have all quit, right? They're all out of here.
Yeah, well, you would be.
But, yeah, no, it was just kind of like, it just sort of happened. The administrators just showed up.
Wow, that's ominous.
Quite.
I actually Googled.
Uh-oh.
No.
Yeah.
I think I Googled, can an administrator go into administration?
Yeah, and what happened?
I couldn't get any info. You know, there are some things you just literally cannot Google, like, what is the song that goes ba 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 ba?
Yeah, the ungooglables. Yeah,
that's an ungoogleable query.
It's ungoogleable, yeah.
And this was an ungoogleable query. I just got, what does an administrator do? I'm like, I don't want to know what it is. I want to know, can they go into administration themselves?
Yeah, those Google searches that just fall over themselves.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a weird question and the parser just goes completely off the rails. And
He's an administrator. Well, I don't want an administrator. I want to know, can or has an administrator ever gone into administration?
And that's the kind of question you type it. You might get like, the first few will be like, what does an administrator do? But then somewhere at the bottom of like the third page will just be like office supplies. Where it's just completely lost it. Yeah.
But it was, I guess, I don't know, I'm still none the wiser on what administration's... I don't know.
Should we start up an administrator's watch?
Administrator watch?
That could be quite a long watch.
Well, maybe we should throw... Listeners, if you know of an administrator that has gone into administration...
Let us know.
Or whether it is possible in theory...
It's definitely possible because they're a company, right?
I suppose, but... I don't know. Like, it's not possible.
But I suppose what assets do they have other than just money and maybe a building?
But there's like companies like Westpac, and then there's like weird things like the Royal Bank, where the rules don't really apply.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering, is an administrator like... Is that in the weird category?
Like the Reserve Bank. Like it is, but it isn't.
Yeah,
you know?
like, no, they can't go down because they deal with the downings of other... I don't know.
But what costs do they have other than the staff they send out and charge 50 times their salaries for?
I don't know.
Because, your administration company sends some administrators to a company to dissolve it, right? To cannibalize it and sell off and get whatever they can out of it. Like, at best, it's a team of, like, let's say 15 or 20 people, right? Maybe if you're like a mega corp, those tend not to go down, right? But it's a handful of people. And let's say it's 10 people and those people's salaries are even like $10 million, right? They're getting $1 million each a year, which they're absolutely not, but let's say it is. They're charging $300 million for their services. What expenses...
Hang on, that can't be who's paying that $300 million?
No, because when they sell the company for whatever they sell it for, they just take a flat percentage amount, right? So they often end up actually getting an amount which is hundreds or thousands of the amounts times the amount that administration costs them.
Well, okay. Well, here's a way an administrator could go into administration: is they only get dud companies that don't have the, and then they go.
That's right. So if they just get a bunch of me going, I'll give you $5 for that company, and then they take $1.40 out of it.
Their last 40 clients are just lemonade stands that have folded. Lemonade business has gone down, and the little girls are like, I got these lemons you can sell off as assets.
Imagine an 8-year-old ringing up an administrator. It's like, hey, look, I can't afford lemons this week. I'm going to have to put the company into administration.
Can you come in and fire my brother? I don't want to do it.
He won't go to Woolies to buy the lemons.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know whether there's weird rules about the administrators.
It's an interesting question.
And it's ungoogleable.
It is ungoogleable, so don't bother.
I feel like we need like a list of ungoogleables.
Yeah, I think when you Google something ungoogleable, Google should just say, that's ungoogleable.
That's ungoogleable. You can't do that. I spent years trying to find out a song once, and I nearly got to the point of recording me doing the tune.
And just putting it on YouTube and asking people.
Yeah, or checking up on Reddit and going, what is this?
Yeah.
And then luckily it was solved and I didn't have to go to that length.
I remember the first time I attempted to do something like that. There's an app called SoundHound. Right? Mm-hmm. And I had my mother hum the song, a part that had lyrics, but hum a part of the rhythm into the phone, and it got it.
Normally they say, like, it doesn't work on live performances.
Yeah, but she hummed it into the phone and it got it. It must have been a distinct enough melody, right? But it got it. And I was amazed. And that was the first and last time it's ever worked for me.
Oh.
I've tried it several times since then, thinking like, well, it worked once, it ought to work again. Nah.
Right.
Not a thing.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Well, once is better than... I was going to say nunce for some reason. It should be nunce.
None?
Well...
Naught?
Once is better than nunce. It rolls off the tongue nicely.
Yeah, but you don't say once is better than twonce. Or twonce is better than once. Yes, Thrunce is better than once.
All right, I get it, Tony.
Savants.
Try it with 4.
Savants is better than...
No, I'm waiting for 4.
Fonts.
Yeah, okay. Nice try, because I couldn't do it either. Anyway, that's it for that one.
That's it.
I reckon, yeah.
Here, if you, yeah, and as always, George Wilson, I know you're probably listening.
Send us an email, because nobody else will.
Yeah, no one else will.
Yeah, no one else will.
If anyone else wants acknowledgement, acknowledge us.
Yeah, exactly. Just let us know you're listening and that you like what we do.
Yeah.
It's not desperate at all. And send us ads. We want ads. Final item. And we don't have very long, so I'll make this a short one. Every time I've been at a kind of, like one of those little events which is like finger food and maybe a couple of glasses of champagne or a couple of glasses of wine, like one of those little everyone stands around and pretends to be more important than they actually are, those things. There's always a handful of things that seem to come up in the finger food, right? Some kind of weird burger, miniature slider thing, but it's always weird. Like it's always goat cheese and salmon on rye or something strange like that.
Yeah.
Small rolls of sushi which were fresh 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
Right? And arancini balls that are too big to eat in one bite.
Yeah? I don't know. I have a pretty big bite, but yeah, I have seen some big arancini balls.
Every time I've been served arancini balls as finger food, they are just slightly too big to... Critically, you could put them all in your mouth at once, but you definitely shouldn't. That's the size they are.
Right.
They're not obviously too big. You're not trying to eat a boulder, right? But if you stuck the whole thing in your mouth, you'd have 30 seconds of, excuse me, right? Why? Who looked at that arancini ball and went, yes, this is an appropriate size for a human being to eat as finger food? And how is that person useless at their job in 100% of cases?
Is it just that they've gone, if I make them smaller, that's more rolling I've got to do?
I mean,
what they should do is just make one giant arancini ball
and
roll
send it
out
out with a carving knife.
Oh no, everyone just comes up and just nibbles into...
Just rips a chunk out of it.
Yeah, excuse me, I just got to go over to the big arancini ball.
Yeah.
And just eat your way into the middle.
And so I found myself, yesterday actually, at an event where I was given, I was offered an arancini ball. And critically, they nailed the size so perfectly that I didn't realise... No, hang on. Because you gave me a positive look there, but I'm about to take it somewhere where even you probably didn't expect. They nailed the size so perfectly that I didn't realise it was too big until after I'd picked it up.
Sorry, what? They nailed the...
As in they screwed me over so perfectly with the size of the arancini ball that I didn't realise it was going to be too big to put in my mouth all at once until after I'd picked it up.
Right, so they played like a trick of the... It was like an optical illusion.
I don't know what it was, but I kind of went, oh yeah, that looks all right. Picked it up and went, I've made a terrible mistake. And then proceeded to bite half of it and have grains of rice drop all over the floor and go like, look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tell the chef.
There must be, I reckon the arancini people must work next to the people who design steps that are wide enough that you can't take a single step per stride. You got to do that awkward, onto the next step. Step a bit forward, up again.
The ones
step a bit forward.
The ones that require travel.
Yeah. Up a bit, step a bit forward.
The worst ones are the ones... So those are bad. The other types of stairs that I really hate are the ones where the gap in height between the steps is too short for one step, but a little bit uncomfortable for two steps at a time. Those are bad too. I really hate those.
But they must work with the arancini people.
They must. Yeah, it's the bad measurers.
Yeah, the bad measurers.
It's the International Society of People that suck at measuring things.
Or measure things maliciously.
Or the International Society of Malicious Measurers.
Malicious measurers.
The ISMM.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Bringing down society with
one
measurement.
Bad measurement at a time. I think that's probably a good thing to close on.
I'm going to put this jumper... these shoes are going to be halfway between a size 10 and an 11.
There are... No. Even worse, these are a size 9.75.
Yes. Deal with that, society.
And we don't make a 9.5 nor a 10.
No.
Only a 10.25 or a 9.25.
Yeah. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
That's probably all we've got time for, actually.
Here on that one.
Here.
Let's get the music going. Oop, hello. See, this thing just... There we go. There we are. I swear to you, Facebook has been trying to make me seem like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm running the version of our stream so I can see the comments and stuff on the same computer that plays our song, right?
Yep.
And I have to mute this stream because otherwise it'll play over itself. I swear to you, every 10 minutes, it just silently unmutes itself. And I don't know, because this slider is down, and I don't put it up until I'm going to play the music at the end, and then stream starts playing over itself.
Right.
Get it together, Mark. Dude. Come on, man. Anyway, I have a quick update in the other business.
All right,
Do you have anything for the business first?
I've got no other business.
Right. Now, ages ago, I spoke about when I first started at my new job, and that lady... who I had met her once.
Oh, yes.
And then I re-met her in the kitchen, only to realise that she sat behind me.
Yes.
The one that said to me...
I mustn't be very memorable.
I mustn't be very memorable.
Yeah, so it's, Thanasi met this woman, forgot he met her, and then rather than take it gracefully, like anyone would when you're a new person...
Like several others did.
Surrounded in a new company by new people, you give him graces, but this lady called him out on it.
I got called out.
And normally people say you should call them out on that, but no. In this case, I'm with you 100%. She should have just been cool about it.
Yeah. So it turns out that she's like my biggest fan now.
What?
She's like the only person that laughs at my bad jokes. She's super helpful every time I ask her. It's the strangest thing because as far as I know, all I've done is just do my job. Ever since that interaction, right? It's always been like, well, I obviously got off to a shaky start with this person. I'll just let them do their thing. All I've done since then is just do my job. And apparently we're not just cool now, like we're buddies.
Does she listen to this show?
No.
If she's your biggest fan...
Well, maybe she does. Who knows? But if anything...
Well, that will probably quell the fan...
Well, no, this is a good thing. I'm saying a nice thing. Because I've also come around to the idea, is what I'm saying, like, you know, of working with this person. Like, I'm cool.
Oh, right.
But it was just it was interesting that after such a weird start, then we got onto that. Anyway, that's my update on that one. I just thought people would find it interesting. Now...
Awkward watch.
Yeah, awkward watch. We've got too many of those. Now, our esteemed listener... And actually, I'm going to have to restart our theme song for this because it's finished. Our esteemed listener, George, has done an amazing thing this week. Actually, last week. So he's now sending us emails from a custom domain. He's sending us emails from his own domain, which I'm not going to give out because I don't want people to bombard him. But suffice it to say that it's very relevant to this show.
He's probably, if we gave the email out, he'd probably be the only one who would be interested in sending an email to it.
Should I just do it?
Oh, I don't know.
I better not. I better not. If he wants to give it out, he can give it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, he's going to be on the show next week, so he can give it out. Yeah, exactly. Esteemed listener George is going to be with us next week, actually. That's some other business that we probably should have mentioned at the top.
I was just going to surprise him next week.
That's all right. It's too big of a surprise. They can't handle that much power. So we've got 3 emails in response to two topics from last show and one new one. So we have an email here that's simply subject lined, ants know.
Ants know.
If you'll remember our conversation about do ants actually know where they're going. He goes, an individual ant doesn't know the shortest path to food. In fact, they basically walk around randomly. But collectively, they will find the shortest path. And there are optimization algorithms based on the idea of ants finding the shortest path in this way.
Is this like the A-star algorithm he's referring to?
I mean, I don't know if that's the one, but there's got to be one, right? He then follows up with an email subject, surround sound.
Oh, yes, because I said no one really cares about surround sound anymore.
Yes, well George,
you just buy a sound bar, you're done with it.
George does, because this is rather a hefty email.
Oh my God.
In relative terms. He says, surround sound is great. Regarding dual subwoofers, they would both have to be playing the same signal. There's no reason to have stereo bass because humans perceive bass omnidirectionally, so you wouldn't be able to tell the two signals apart. Why have 2 subwoofers then? He's got all the answers, right?
Yeah, because my father had a 7.2.
A 7.2, yeah. Surround sound system. He goes, the reason is that bass response varies dramatically throughout a room, depending on the size and shape of the room, among many other things. So 2 seats in the room will usually have very different sounding bass. Having the bass more consistent, more even across the room, the whole room, is why you would use 2 subwoofers. So there you go. We learned a new thing. And he's also sent us a for more information link, but I'm not even going to get into that. Finally, he sends us an email, an update on the war on shoes.
Right.
Which is an update on an offhanded comment he made in an email he sent about shorts. In which he said he prefers
now he's
not to...
dictating what the show...
He's running his own show, man.
He's steering the ship from emails now.
Man, if someone's taken some of the responsibility out of my hands, I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
anyway, our song's ended, but I'm not going to start again because this one's very quick. He just says, my co-worker got a medical certificate that says he doesn't have to wear shoes at work. Cheers, George.
What? Hang on. What is
All he said last time was that I don't like wearing shoes. Shoes are a scam. That was his update on the war on shoes. So clearly he had something to do with that medical certificate. A co-worker of his has simply gone to a doctor and said, tell my workplace that I can go to work barefoot.
And the doctor has obliged?
The doctor has obliged that, and apparently it worked. So there's some information. You can do whatever you want.
See, do we trust doctors too much? Surely the company should be allowed to get that thing that says, Bob doesn't have to wear shoes, and go, yeah, but why?
Is this a conversation for 5 minutes past 6, though, Tony?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
You should still be able to go... I don't get it, doctor. I need to understand.
I'm going to have to say no until I know exactly why.
Yes, this is not enough information. I need to see you working.
The doctor simply saying so, it's not going to cut it.
No.
Anyway, I think that's all from us this week. Thank you for joining us. I've been Thanasi.
I've been Tony.
And this has been The Hidden Agenda.
Meeting adjourned.
Oh, come on, man. Bye-bye.
It's good.
It is.